Okay, planning board meeting is now open, March 21st, 2013, already. First thing on the agenda, Mrs. Nickerson for Route 138 zoning. Please step right up, and you are, state your name for the record, please.
Raynham Channel, First Street. I'm just here, I have a letter from the selectmen and a copy went to the planning board from July of 2011, and it's 2013. I didn't know if you wanted an update. And I have heard someone alerted me that there's been a little chatter about purchase and sales at 217 Broadway, and they were looking into what they need to do to go about getting it changed to business zoning. So, of course, I believe you all know that we're very interested in knowing anything about any of those meetings. Like if we weren't here, you'd maybe say, oh, I think I know some other people that would want to be here, and we want to make sure that we're notified. I mean, we did submit a petition in 2011. If you want me to do another petition for 2013, I can definitely accommodate that. So, do you want me to pass out these letters? Because copies went to you, I believe.
Yeah, no,
It says,
we remember.
we also notify the planning board of this decision, so.
What we had decided long ago was anytime anything did come in front of the planning board for Route 138, excuse me, that we had I believe we had a list of people that we were notifying, including you, one person.
Right, yes.
For First Street group, and
Well, that's all I'm here for tonight, just to remind you.
yeah, and if there's any zoning changes or anything like that, it's all gonna be, it has to be publicized. It's not
Well,
something
I
that,
understand it has to be publicized, but it was publicized last time in the 11th hour at the 5 o'clock meeting, and we, no one knew about it, and, if it wasn't for the good conscience of one of your board members, we would have never known about it. So, I mean, that's why we did this petition, so that you all know that we definitely want to be in the loop. And I mean, we are, I guess, asking for, a little more consideration than just the posting outside there. I don't come to town hall every day, and I don't check the town website every day, and so we're just asking for that. That was what this petition was submitted for and accepted by the selectmen, and then the copy went to the planning board, so.
yeah, and
So that's what we're asking for, again.
we did, when Marilyn was here, we did state that anytime we had anything coming up, that
Yes.
you would be notified, so.
Right. Well, yes, and Marilyn's not here anymore. And,
Yeah, no, but
like, I'm only
Maureen-
here just for a reminder,
Yeah,
that's
no,
all.
that's
just to
fine.
not forget about it.
Just to let you know that Raynham did receive, the committee that you were
Yes.
part of.
Yes.
Raynham did receive additional grant money to
Yes.
continue
Yes,
that.
I've been in contact with Maureen on
And
that.
Grant had a meeting this week, and I was supposed to attend and I wasn't able to, that he is getting started again,
Forming another committee, correct?
discussing,
yes.
moving forward. So
Yep.
you'll be notified about that coming up pretty soon also.
Yeah, I was under the understanding they weren't going to follow through on that until we had another planner.
Another plan?
Planner.
Oh,
That's
well,
how I was under that understanding.
that was the case, and we've advertised twice, interviewed twice for a town planner, and both times was unsuccessful. So I had elected to be chair of that committee, and that's what we're gonna do, because we
Oh,
can't.
okay, so we're not, okay.
We can't wait for a town planner if we don't
Right.
have one. The other good news that I just recently was informed of, that Maryland, and for the board members, Maryland is willing to come back until, in April, until we do have a town planner on a part-time basis as needed. So that will be good,
Yes.
because,
Now, let me just ask this question. The board, in general, the next committee that we have, that's all going to be taken into consideration with the board's decisions on anything as well, or no?
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Outside of the,
I mean, I know
outside
you were
of
on the
the.
other committee, but
Yeah, but
the
outs-
other people.
But I can say whatever I want in those committee meetings.
Oh, I know that, I
And
know
it-
that.
But it has nothing to do with
Right, with
this
the
board
Exa-
deciding.
Well, no, that's what I'm asking. If the next committee that,
Mhm.
you're gonna be on, I'm gonna be on again, those decisions, this board will
It will have to go,
into
anything,
consideration.
right, any zoning changes that Serpent comes up with, working through that committee, and, all of the members on that committee, anything that comes out of that still has to go through the process. This board will see, when that was, when I was appointed to that, everybody on this board was part of that, appointing me to that, so, again, I don't, I speak for myself whenever I go to those, and, it'll have to come in front of the planning board, because the best thing for any zoning change is to have the endorsement of the planning board going to the town meeting.
Of course.
Not necessarily, but yeah.
Well, especially if it's,
I said
especially
that
if,
before, but-
especially if, Serpents is leading the way, our town planners, leading the way,
Yeah, but
and we
Serpent
have all.
doesn't live in Raynham, and neither does the town
No.
planner, so.
But I think
No,
after, after the last.
but I understand that, but if you
Okay, so they're
have,
not
but if you have 8 people, business people and residents on these boards and on these
If there's-
committees,
If there's an equal amount, yes.
and if you have, if everybody doesn't agree, then it's not gonna come to this board.
Right, right, of course.
So, to say they don't live in Rainham is unfair, because unless everybody agrees, and I think you
No, I was just
know.
addressing that because you had said Serpent in the town planner, and I was just saying that they don't live in Raynham. Grant doesn't, and, Maryland does. I was just saying for
Yeah.
those two things.
Well,
that
I
you
think
said.
I know I was comfortable with
Oh, I was, yes,
with the
very
way
much.
the last,
Yep.
the last one went, and what I did say was, I don't want to just meet to meet, because, Route 138 has been an issue for the 11 years I've
Right,
been
and I
sitting
agree,
here.
and I agree totally with that. And my big issue too is that I'm very against, like, when one person buys one piece of property on Broadway, and they want to just come and do that piece of property. And we discussed that at that meeting too, which I don't want to hold everybody up with that stuff here tonight.
Yeah, and that's got,
No.
and again,
But I
that's,
mean,
and again, that's there, they can do whatever they want.
Right, exactly.
It's,
But that's
the
why we
reason why
want-
we're having those meetings and those committees is to try to foresee 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road for Route 138, not just, for one person.
Right.
Whatever the final outcome is, if that zoning with that individual or, 5 individuals, it may not go in the direction they want it to go in, or it may go in the direction. But again, you were part of that meeting, and I don't think the way any of those meetings that we had went in that direction about one individual. It was
No,
about the
no,
whole
I
entire
think
thing.
Yes.
And I think,
yes.
I'm confident that that's how it's gonna continue. And
Okay, well,
it's
that-
not, nobody
Hopefully that's what
influences,
it's gonna be like too.
nobody influences individuals on this board, or,
Oh, no, I'm not saying,
or
I'm just saying
anything
that
else.
that has come to my attention, and that's why I wanted to just come here to remind everyone again that we do
Yeah.
want to be in the loop. Okay? All right, thank you for your time.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Brian Dunn. Discussion. Not on?
No.
Tear Out Road, waiver of frontage, public hearing.
Okay, to read the public meeting notice. In accordance with provisions in Mass General Law, Chapters 40A and 41, Raynham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 21st, 2013, 6:05 PM at Raynham Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, on application for approval of a definitive plan/waiver of frontage plan submitted by Glenn Whitaker, trustee, Terrell Road Realty Trust, Raynham, Mass., for one proposed lot, 5.3 acres at Terrell Road, assesses map 12, lot 239G, Raynham, is shown on frontage waiver plan by Riser Engineering Company, North Attleboro, Mass., dated January 3rd, 2013. Copy of application and plan are available for viewing at the town clerk's office and planning board office, 558 South Main Street, during usual scheduled business hours. Any person wishing to be heard or interested in this submittal should appear at the time and place designated. Raynham Planning Board, Daniel J. Andrade, Chairman.
Thank you. That's not anything. Do we have any plans, drawings?
Oh, sorry.
That'd be nice.
see you now.
Yep. Okay, could you say your name for the record, please?
Yes, good evening, planning board members and chairman. My name is Timothy Kapniger. I'm here to speak in behalf of Glenn Whitaker, Terrell Realty Trust. His attorney had a previous engagement tonight, so I'm just here to try to move things along so we don't have to continue the meeting. The little history on this, he already been through the zoning board, and they granted him a frontage waiver for one buildable lot. And at this time, we're asking the planning board to grant the waiver also, and I think we're in appeals now. We're willing, we're going to drop to appeals if we can get one buildable lot out of this. Glenn decided he don't want to move forward, just wants to build on that one particular lot.
Okay.
Originally he wanted to try for 2 lots, but at this time he just wants to go with 1 lot. The zoning board decided on this, and I think it was like in October of 2010. They voted every member voted in favor of it.
In favor of
The frontage waiver.
frontage waiver for 1 lot.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that indicated anywhere? Waiver of the front,
I have it, the decision here.
I mean, just typically, you represent the engineer?
Engineer and the owner, yes.
Okay, do you work, are you from the engineering company? Or?
No, I'm affiliated with the owner.
Okay. I'm just typically on a waiver of frontage plan.
Yep.
We're to determine adequate access and all this. There's no topography shown, roadway, driveway, anything. So typically, at least in the ones we've done in the past, it seems that we require much more of a plan. So there'd be some engineering involved. So there's no wetland shown, there's no topography shown, there's no pavement shown, there's pretty much nothing shown. And typically there'd be an indication or a note stating that the zoning board granted such and such a variance. It's actually, if it's under appeal, it's not officially granted, right? If it's
Well, when I saw this come,
it seems like it's missing a lot of data.
when I saw this come that was coming in front of this meeting for tonight, I had Maureen send attorney, town council Mark Antine a quick email asking if this is something that we should be tabling because it was in litigation. And he responded back and said no, that the Board of Appeals did approve a waiver for 1 lot, not the 2. And that what's in front of us for the planning board is a waiver of frontage for 1 lot. So by the Board of Appeals granting that, then basically they're in front of us as
Do we have the
legality.
decision anywhere?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if it's under appeal, it's not officially granted if the decision
But
hasn't.
no, the single lot's not under appeal. The double lot, having the 2 lots is under appeal.
Was it under 1 application, or was it under 2 applications?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it
In other words,
was.
what I'm saying, if they went in and
Well,
applied,
that's why, no, I know,
You
and
know?
that's why I had,
I'll have to get on and get it. They do.
that's why I had Maureen ask Mark Antine, because that was the same, my same
Seems odd.
thought, that, okay, it's under appeal, we're not even supposed to be looking at it, but he clearly states that, no, it's, once this planning board has an obligation to look at it and to approve it, because the zoning board did grant the variance, and that the appeal process is being, from what this gentleman just said, is going to be dropped for the 2 lots, and they're only going to go along with 1 lot.
And again, we could condition that anyway. I'd imagine that would be the case.
Yeah, if you consider it and you vote on that you'll approve it, we're going to drop the appeal and everything goes away.
Yeah, like Chris
Then
just said, it
becomes
can be,
1 buildable lot.
I mean, the plan, that aside, I looked at the plan when it came to me, and it's missing a lot of information we typically require. In other words, there's no topography shown, so is this access from this point to this point is all we're looking at. Is that okay? Does it have the driveway, what's required.
But even though
whatnot.
we got a variance for the
Yeah.
waiver of frontage, that, from the past, if you get a variance, then you
You can
can,
get a variance and waiver of frontage, and we're the ones who get a waiver of frontage.
Yeah,
then,
They have to,
what was,
We get a variance from the zoning board, and now we're in front of the planning board.
you don't have the,
You can go get it if you want. The variance was for lack of frontage on a public road.
it's just a lot of, it's house cleaning more than anything. I mean, it just basically says a waiver of all requirements. And usually we'd outline what the requirements
did
were.
you say you had a copy of the decision?
I mean, I'm just saying, it's homework stuff. If you pulled the last one that was done, you'd see what
Only
is
be-
typically required.
I think they asked the planner what, I came here, asked if it was an adequate plan, she said, yeah, but,
The planner hasn't been here for a while, probably, so you
There's a
didn't,
woman working in the office at the time.
which would be Maureen. Did they ask you to, as it go by?
Oh, I didn't make a judgment on what was on the plan. I just
No,
did the
but
application.
but if you took the last one or two that was done, you'd see what's typically required on a plan.
Yeah, I think.
In other words, it just says a waiver from all requirements from subdivision control law. We wouldn't put a waiver of all requirements, you'd put a waiver of what specific sections.
Yeah, it says frontage waiver on there, I believe.
Well, it doesn't cite anything, is what I'm saying.
What do you mean as far as?
You know, if you were an engineer or surveyor, you'd probably understand what I'm saying more. You'd cite specific sections of the code that you're waivering. In other words, when he went in for a variance, he went in and said, I want a variance from section such and such on his application
Yep.
from the 150 to the 79. So you have to, if in making a decision, we'd have to say, okay, if we're gonna grant this, we grant this, and it's subject to waiver of this section, this section, this section. We don't just put waiver of the law. We cite it specifically. It's more homework and cleaning up than anything
Yeah.
else. But
All right, so-
if you pulled the last one, you'd see exactly how it was done. You could pretty much almost copy the plan.
Yeah, I think he just has that notation on there, the waiver of.
Yeah, so,
Frontage required.
Rick, if you,
You understand what I'm saying, right? Typically on a plan, we require a lot more content.
I want to know what the condition of the road is.
Yeah, you have nothing to base your judgment on.
This is a big 30-foot dip or something that you can't get in and out
well,
of.
we do have a letter from Highway Department, and does everybody have a copy of the letter?
Yeah, that doesn't
Yeah,
really
you
have much to do with the road.
Well, I think it does.
The cul-de-sac's an accepted road.
Which is an issue.
The cul-de-sac, again, the waiver frontage on is an accepted road to the town of Raynham.
But what Burke's saying is,
Yes.
this shows property lines.
Mhm.
It doesn't show, it shows basically compiled property lines. It doesn't even say it was by survey, it was just compiled from plans. So no actual work's been done on the ground that shows us what's there, so we have no basis to
All right,
judge.
now-
Without knowing this neighborhood, you
but
don't
wait a
know what
minute.
you're looking at.
Let's first determine, the waiver of frontage that they went to the Board of Appeals for was just for here,
Right.
wasn't it? It was for an existing cul-de-sac. It has nothing to do with Terra Road, am I correct?
It's to have a buildable lot
She just
on
wanted to
a,
notify. She wants to
without
notify.
adequate access on a public way.
Okay, so that's, it has nothing to do with Terra Road.
Right.
This cul-de-sac, which is existing, they're coming in front of us saying that they went to the Board of Appeals, this is the frontage that they own, that they have, and that's what the Board of Appeals gave them the approval for. So we do know what the road conditions are, because it's existing, the town maintains and the town plows it. This here is the road.
We don't know what the access to that lot is though, Dan. This is what we've had every single applicant that's come through has had to demonstrate this, and it's,
Yeah, if there's a big
it
wetland,
should probably be fairly consistent.
if
There's
there's a
no
big...
wetland shown, there's nothing even, this doesn't even match what's required on Form A.
Yes, if this could be all wetland right here, where there's no access across here anyway.
And that-
We don't even know.
And, yeah, right, but that doesn't matter for.
And
for
as
this
far as
board,
this plan goes, I'm looking at the town map, there's a house over here.
If there's
So-
wetlands, we gotta go, okay.
So apparently, this road has been improved, but I don't know to what extent. And there's another street over here that doesn't even show on the locus map. I think this plan just needs a lot more detail.
And if,
Okay.
you know,
But you're
and then-
all right, now wait a minute. You're pointing to Terra Road, though.
Yep.
Let's not point to Terra Road, because what they have, a waiver of frontage for is not Terra Road.
Well, it is Terrell Road, it's just this part of Terrell
Well,
Road.
excuse me, let me rephrase that. It's not on this cart path of Terra Road, it's on the public way of Terra Road.
And I'd like to know if this is an accepted public road down here. What I was saying on the plan.
It most likely is. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't have adequate access.
No, I
I'm just saying
understand.
that if someone's coming,
There's two issues.
They have to show
I just
you
want to
that
make
they
sure
have-
that everybody understands
Yeah.
what we're looking at,
Yeah.
that we have a waiver of frontage that's in front of us, that's on a public way, not on this portion of the old part of undeveloped Terra Road. Because we've had this come in front of us before, where we've asked for improvements, okay? So I just don't want, I want everybody to be on the same page. All of that clerical stuff, you can make a list of all that, and
Yeah, I
I
mean, it
agree with you,
doesn't-
that's fine. I
doesn't-
just want everybody to know, it's, what we're looking at is this cul-de-sac and the frontage on this cul-de-sac, and that's it.
I don't know, because if there's a big wetland right here, and the only access from this property is over here, then we're looking over here. And this plan doesn't give us enough information to tell us
Okay,
where
then
we're
that's-
looking.
then that's what you're gonna, that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
make a list of, tell him, because you can't look over there, because he doesn't have frontage on that.
well, his access has to be through here. 'cause
Correct.
His access has to be
Exactly.
through his
His-
frontage. We're not saying any of that, Dan, at all. If you went and pulled the last waiver of frontage type plan, and it would show you what you need. And it would, when they come in, like when we give a list of waivers, which
Yeah,
this
no,
is
I know-
required,
I
a list
know
of
what you're
waivers, he's got to put an accurate list of waivers. You don't just say waive the book.
That's gonna have to be something
that's
that
one
Maureen
thing.
will have to pull out the last,
The abutters have to be on the plan. None of them are on the plan. The edge of pavement and topography has to show that it has
who's the,
adequate access.
who's the engineer?
It's actually a surveyor, there's no engineer on the plan.
Yes.
What
Henry.
did the Board of Appeals do with this?
They approved a one lot, for one lot?
Did they address any of these issues that we're
I don't know, I
discussing?
wasn't, here's the.
If they did, it would have been probably shown in the plan,
They-
so they probably didn't
Yeah,
address
but
any of those
Didn't they have to
issues.
notify all the abutters when they do a hearing?
They did,
they-
but
they have.
they're not, well, actually typically on the zoning board of a plan, it must be a totally different plan, because the zoning board, you have to not only show all the abutters' names, but you also have to show every house on every abutting property, the distance from the lot lines, and you have to show every abutting property
So
within
do
300
we
feet.
have what they submitted to the zoning board of appeals? Would that
So
help
that-
us any?
Well, it would, but this would be the plan we're endorsing, so
I
the
understand
plan we're
that, I just
endorsing
thought
should have,
Maybe
the
the
proper
other plan
content
would
on
be
it.
helpful
Well,
too,
let's,
to look at.
The zoning board plan, it was very similar to this, except it was two lots. You know, we're trying to create two lots. We didn't have a house, we didn't have driveways.
no, but you, by the zoning board regs, you show the houses on the abutting properties, and you show all the lots within 300 feet. I mean, that's just what the zoning requires, so it's probably a different plan. It's nothing insurmountable, it's just simply correcting the plan. You pick it up, and if you know, I can repeat myself 20 more times. Go pull the last couple plans, book them and see what they look like, and whoever did your plan probably should have done that before he did the plan. If he's not, I mean, I've never seen the name before, so he hasn't worked in town, so typically you'd come in,
Is it,
find out what's been accepted for this type of plan in town, and then mimic it. It's not rocket science.
okay, so with that said, for this gentleman, the applicant to go to our office and ask for a,
I'll pull something up for him.
the
Yeah,
last
it's not a
plan,
big deal.
then maybe he can review it.
yeah,
Now, outside of that, is there anything, Burke, you had some issues, just so he doesn't go through this and then come back in front of us, and if your questions are gonna be, I don't think they're gonna be on the plan, so I think you might wanna make a list of, what are your questions that you wanna know? Is it basically gonna be, like Chris said, it's almost information that needs to be on a Form A plan should be on this, so we know what we have for access going to, is there wetlands, is there?
We need to know if there is adequate, safe access to get on and off the property. And so we need to know, where does he plan on getting on and off the property? The zoning board said, okay, you've got frontage, making the presumption that they made the presumption that this is a public way. And we're going to let you have a buildable lot with only 79 feet of frontage on a public way. But again, I don't know if he plans on coming in through this 79 feet. If he does, then I need to know, is it 30 feet down in a hole? Are there wetlands? Or if he's coming in over here, then I want to know, and we want to know the road and how much it's been improved. There's a house sitting over here, so somebody obviously has done some improvements. And
And again, I guess that would bring up a question, and Chris, maybe you can answer. He has to have his driveway off of his frontage, so he's gonna have to come off of that road. So I don't want, you
There's a
know,
zoning bylaw
when-
that you have to access
so
through
when
frontage.
this gentleman-
So this isn't considered frontage.
correct.
This
So
would be
when he
considered
comes
frontage.
back in front of us and shows us a driveway, just make sure the driveway is on the portion that is their frontage, and that they received the Board of Appeals' decision granting that. Because if they show a driveway off of Tarrant Road, then that's not his frontage, and he doesn't have frontage.
And there are 2 waivers requested. I think the only one we're dealing with is the first one.
And what are the waivers?
We typically have put, you know, since this is submitted as a definitive subdivision, a waiver from sections, this, and this. But all you simply have to do is go back and pull the last couple of these,
Yeah, I mean,
and
there's
then
a
just look at it and
guideline.
say,
Right.
well, gee, this is on
Yeah.
that plan, it's missing from mine. Let me put it on. It's not, you know.
Yeah,
And
no,
then you put
I
it
think-
on, you come back with a plan like
Is there a
that,
list-
and we
is there
say,
a list of
okay.
guidelines that the planning board has on in their planning regulations?
Not for a waiver of frontage, it's
Yeah,
just you
so
pull
it-
the last few plans, and it's a list of,
Well, again,
whenever
I
you
mean,
do a
it's-
waiver of frontage in any town, typically, you have to show that you have adequate access, the road is adequate to handle the traffic, and that you have adequate access to get off and onto the lot. So you typically show your topography and your driveway, and that's what the law is asking for. So that's what you need to show. You're not doing the engineering, so I'm probably talking kind of a foreign language to you in a
No,
lot of
you're
it, but.
not at all. I mean,
But go pull the last couple plans and see what they put on it, and
I
then
work-
just put it
I work
on.
with plans, I work with
Yeah.
plans
And come
every
back
day
the next
also.
time.
And that's
Now,
fine,
let me-
and
Then you're good.
I understand that, I'm still
Yeah.
have issues with that, only because if I was the applicant, and I look up the rules of regs, and it doesn't tell me to go in there and ask for the last 2 plans that were approved by the planning board, so.
There
if
isn't
there-
rules and regs on waiver of frontage.
Okay, so then maybe
It's
there's
not
something
part of
that-
It's not part of subdivisions regs.
We, unlike Taunton, we do not have a separate section of our zoning
No,
bylaw that
it's
covers
not even
just
there.
waiver of frontage. So actually, this is a subdivision. Technically, he needs to
Exactly.
do a Form C subdivision, and that's what this plan is supposed to be.
Then if he's supposed to be doing a Form C, then,
Approval under the subdivision law is required, so he'd have to go through, as Burke said, and this is how we've done every one of them. It goes through as approval under a subdivision control law required as a subdivision. So you pull the subdivision regs, you put, okay, this section tells me I need all this stuff and road profiles. I don't want to put all that stuff. It's overkill. So you put a list of what you don't want to put. You just don't put, give me a waiver of the book. So, and
Okay,
that's
so that
typically
answers
how
my-
we've done the last ones. You just pull one out and it
So
says it right
that's-
on it and you write it.
okay, so that answers my question.
So we should actually have a Form C then.
In effect, it's the
Well,
same,
almost-
they did it, they applied properly.
And then we waive everything.
Go look at what we've done before and what we've let people get away with, and that'll give you a good idea of what we're going to let you get away with on this, too.
And again, that's fine, and I think the gentleman understands that, you don't have to repeat that anymore. I'm looking for, okay, what's gonna happen the next time? If I was the applicant, I came in front of us, it sounds kind of ass backwards, or just, it's nice that Chris is helping him out to lead him in the direction, but in my opinion, if it's something that we should have in our regs, so the gentleman, the next person doesn't have to come in front of us and we tell him to go back and look at plans, it just seems like that's something that we should address.
We could probably just address it very similar by saying waiver of frontages be treated as a Form C subdivision
what it says.
with waiver required,
Appropriate waivers.
requested, that they're not needed.
That's basically what it says.
Does it say that now?
That's how you the process of application
Okay,
is the
so if
same.
that's what it says, Maureen, then if you can pull that out, and along with giving the gentleman a copy of the last plan that was approved, maybe a copy of that, and the engineer or your draftsman, whoever did this, can review that, so he knows what he's preparing for us.
Now,
And you want, they could call Maureen, she'd hook you up with me, I'm in town every day, and I go over with the guy before he brings it in.
well, I brought the plan in myself, actually, and
Well, bring it, if you want to do that,
I showed, I
that's...
said, this is all I need, and they said, yeah, so, I mean.
All right, don't say that again, please.
No,
We-
no,
we
again,
We understand that.
Again, I
And you
know-
brought it
I
to
know where
Maureen, you
you-
brought it to the office, whether Maureen or Marilyn,
yeah.
and that's all you need. Well, that's fine.
I know
Well,
where you guys come from, I know what you want, you want driveway, you want to show the driveway going in the house and whatnot. We're here for a frontage waiver. The way I looked at it was, when you go in front of the building department and apply for your building permit, if you don't have the proper access with your driveway and safe access, they'll deny you at that point. That's the
Okay.
way I thought it was.
The plan doesn't have enough information on the subdivision control law.
Yep.
So you have to
The Form
go
C.
back, and you can go through and look at that whole process, or you can do what Mr. Gallagher said,
Yeah.
and ask Maureen to give you a copy of the last plan, and do it that way. So
Okay.
he's giving you the shortcut. I'm only looking to make sure that
The whole
we
point,
have something in our records.
the whole point of a waiver of frontage is that we're the one that determines you have the, not the building inspector. We're here to endorse that you have adequate access, proper driveway, that's the whole point of it.
Yep.
That's what you're here for, and that's what, it's two questions, the Terrell Road thing and the access, and that's what we're
Yeah,
here for.
you
And
can't see.
without showing us anything, we can't make a proper evaluation.
Okay, so this is a public meeting. You want to, we can continue the public meeting?
Yeah, I'd like to continue the public meeting and revise the plans according to
Revise the plan?
the discussion tonight.
Okay,
so-
so to continue the public hearing,
For 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
no, I'm sure you can get the information you need for our next hearing.
Yeah.
Our next hearing is April 4th.
Yep.
And we can put you on for same time, 6:05.
Is the plan, I just want to make sure I get the correct plan from
Maureen will get you the correct plan, and she's gonna,
She
and
familiar
she's
with-
gonna give you the part of the bylaw that states what the plan needs.
Okay.
I'm around just about every day. We're not here trying to cause you a hassle, but
No.
when the last 10 guys brought one plan in, we can't have you bring one in that isn't like theirs. In effect, we can't require one thing from the last 10 and not require it here. So we're just saying, go by what was required on the last plan, and you shouldn't have a problem.
Give me an example.
All right, so
She'll give you
6:05,
examples.
April 4th.
I don't have them all memorized.
Could I have that
Yes.
zoning decision? I let you-
Zoning decision, right there.
Tim, excuse me?
Your name,
Tim.
Tim what?
CAP.
Hold on one second, okay.
Do you have a business card?
Okay, CAP, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, and I'll see you.
Okay, Forge Estates, formerly known as Bella Estates. Step right up, state your name for the record.
Good evening, Ken Caputo, Caputo Project Delivery Solutions, and Mr. Campbell is here with me, as well as Mr. Nolan and Joe. That's all I know is Joe. We're here tonight because we're ready to move on to 2 more buildings within the development. And I apologize for not bringing it easier, but I will do my best to hold it up like a flag banner and...
We have a
Easel back there, though.
little easel back that we can put up, so we,
I don't want to put you...
no, you
How's
don't,
that?
don't worry about putting us in through that problem. We have, we're televised. This is Raynham residents. Let me tell you, if we don't talk loud enough,
There are thousands of people...
or if we mumble, if we don't show them plans, I get phone calls telling them, Dan, do a better job and make sure that everybody understands,
Do you think 10,000 per?
there's a lot of interested people sitting home watching this.
10,000?
And that gentleman that's in that, cameraman will find wherever you, just don't place that behind Maureen. Maureen, can you move a little?
Left, right?
I can put it right over here.
No, go ahead. That's fine, and then you can
Sorry.
point out
That's
and
all right.
address. And our cameraman will find,
All righty, start over here.
Could you just briefly give us a little history for the public, just real brief? I know you built one building, I think.
Yes, we have.
Just show us where it was and,
We've built one, that's building number, what we call building number 9.
Where
And
is
that
that?
one is located right here, shown as existing building number 9.
okay.
What we would, I'm gonna get more assistance. I'll just use the pen.
I'll
What
get
we're
to a
proposing
point in a second.
is to continue on into the development. There's 10 buildings in all. And we want to build now building number 8 and building number 7. As you'll remember from last year, I believe it was, we modified our building type. And 9 is reflective of the new building type that we have. We're very happy with that model. I don't know if any of you have been by that area to see it, but it's been a huge, for us, we believe it's a very successful, marketable model. That's building number 9 there. That's the one that's built. 8 and 7 are the two we would like to use the new model footprint. And when you use the new model footprint, it does have a slight adjustment from the approved plan for building number 7 and number 9. Put that right side up. And if you recall, we had the same challenge and request to the board on building number 9. It used to be up here. We shifted it back about 20 feet, and the board approved that relocation. In this case here, with 7 and 8, what we have is the dotted line there is the building footprint that's on the approved plan, and the solid line is the location we want to put the new footprint. And the same holds true for number
10 feet,
7,
20 feet.
that dotted line and proposed line. So they almost sit on top of each other. And there's really very little shift.
What dotted line are you looking at? I'm looking at, my dotted line
This
looks
is a-
like drainage.
I don't know that you have the
We
same.
don't have it.
This is a display. This hasn't been submitted. This is just a graphic display for this hearing. That plan doesn't show the existing, the original approved location. That plan is actually
No, I
follows,
understand that, but what you're saying, you follow the dotted line, and that is the,
what we did was we
Approved.
superimposed the original approved building
okay,
location.
we don't have that on ours?
No.
See,
In
when I
fact,
was
what you
doing
have
this, these are all
there
nice
is the
colors.
final product we ended up with for
Colors
building
are
9.
nice.
We cut right to the chase. It took me about 3 steps to learn and figure out how we would get this. What we need is we need a modification approval from the board and a signed plan.
No, we understand that, but
To
it's
submit.
nice, if you're saying there's a dotted line there,
Okay.
showing the existing, where the original approval was,
Yes.
then I don't think that's a lot to ask for. Show us the dotted line so we know what we're approving.
That's what we're showing on the display. We didn't show it on the plan. The plan that we submitted last time, that ultimately became the endorsement plan, didn't show I don't believe it showed.
Do you have any other
original
copies of
location.
that, just that copy?
I can leave a copy of this with you.
Oh, it's just, I'm getting old and decrepit, and, well, I've been doing that for my whole life, but I can't see squat from here, I have trouble seeing it. I can tell it's probably about the same,
It's
it's
pretty
basically
much with
about the
a
same.
minor shift up in here for number 7.
Hmm.
It's really the footprint change more than it is a change of location.
No, we understand all
I would
that.
say that 95+% of the building is in the same location as the approval plan. But because it is a different footprint than what was on the approval plan, we just want to make sure that we have a signed document from the planning board acknowledging to the building inspector that you had a chance to look at this, consider the modification, and so that when we file for building permit application, we have all our ducks in a row.
So you just need that in letter form.
Yes, Brooke.
Is the size of the footprint for the building the same?
It's the same as what we just built.
It's not what he asked you.
That's not what I
Is the
asked.
size,
Your modification from what you were going to build to what you are building,
Yes.
Same size?
Yeah, overall length and average width, yes.
And basically, you're just taking, so you get a building the same size, and you're moving it over 5 feet? 10 feet?
Yep, we're moving number 7. We're shifting it over probably to the south 10 feet.
Okay?
And on number 8, we're shifting that one over to the north
Okay,
10 feet.
all right?
That's pretty much the change.
Okay.
And why are you doing that?
And the reason for the shift is,
The design.
what we've done is we've modified the footprint. These little squares here, you should see those on your plan.
It's
Are
just
the
a-
garage
it's a-
entrances.
It's a slightly different
We
design.
have a 2-car garage in the back of the building, and we wanted to give a little bit more room on the driveway to the 2-car garage.
So what you just told us, is that in writing someplace, so we can approve it?
No, it's just shown on the plan.
But we don't have a plan.
Oh, you have that plan.
Well, he's saying this plan is,
I think if you submitted a one paragraph to us saying it's a minor modification and that the footprint's the same size and that you're moving building number 8 north, south, east, west by 10 feet and you're building, moving proposed building 7 by 10 feet
Well, it's
in
on the
whatever
bottom right,
direction.
on
Can you just hand us the plan so we can see the thing?
on the bottom right-hand corner, can we see the plan? Chris would like to see the plan,
Actually see it, I mean, it's...
just to
I know
show.
that on the Lather building, when that got changed, and they were all the same building, they ended up with a net less impervious when they changed the other one. So in other words, it was, yeah, so you can see that a whole lot better when it's in front of you.
Why don't we just take this plan then?
Yeah. Can we take this plan?
Yes, I can leave that plan with you tonight.
Can we have the clips, or do you want them?
I'll even leave the board if the staff needs a board for downstairs.
So,
Take the
the
clips, take
proposed, the old one's the dotted one,
Yes.
and the new one's the one
And
that's...
does
so
over
they're
here say
basically
what
the
we
same.
wanted to say? That what he's moving, what he's doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. So this shows it much better.
Can you want to look at it, Brooke?
Can actually
See if-
see
I trust you.
Question I have, are the buildings, and I didn't look at that, are the buildings any closer to the road than they were before, or?
No, in fact, the shift pushes it just a little bit further from the road. It's just again, that's just a final design detail in terms of what Mr. Campbell's preference is in selling to potential buyers. Wants to give them a little bit of room on that driveway. As a result, we've only got this for visitor parking right now, simply because we believe that our driveways allow for visitor parking right at the unit that they're going to. And because now we have a 2-car garage. Before, we didn't have a 2-car garage. And that was part of the marketing concern that we had, and worked with this board to get this new footprint approved.
Okay.
So are all the units having 2-car garages now?
All 2-car, in these buildings, all 2-car garages, yes.
What about the other ones? as you
We
go?
haven't, I think, one of the things I will say for the record is that these buildings also fit the infrastructure as originally designed and approved. So there's no infrastructure modifications. When I say infrastructure, I mean water, sewer, the roadways. I think as we get to the back half of the development, we may have to revisit that in a more intensive modification. But like on the case of 9 to 10, where the infrastructure was all consistent, and again, we had to show that on a plan we didn't initially, we did this time.
And what did you say about visitor parking again? It's the same?
It's in front here.
Is it built? Is it built?
10 of them, let me see, 12 of the spaces are built. We're gonna add 4 more, just as contingency, but
Okay. So, look, having this in front of us as a minor modification, changing the location of the two, building number 8, building number 7,
I have no problem.
with the plan, before we, I guess,
problem.
nobody seems to have a problem with it. Question, or comment that I have. Mr. Noblin
1
came.
second, Dan. Okay.
Mr. Noblin came looking for what did you come, what did he come looking for? Acceptance of the
Occupancy
occupancy, or?
on the first.
Oh, the as-built.
We just submitted an as-built to get the occupancy for the first unit.
Right. And you also wanted us to approve or sign off on the development, basically, for building number 9.
Right.
We can't do individual buildings unless, and I think I had Maureen gave you a printout, and I just want you to be aware of it. This is, all the infrastructure that you have there, the catch base, the drainage, everything's incorporated. So for you to get a full sign-off from the planning board, then we either need security to do that, because you could sell off 4 of these units, and then the project, unfortunately goes bankrupt or what have you. So we're not, the finished pavement isn't down, I did see comment on the dumpster, everybody's gonna have their own trash, which is fine. But the infrastructure for the drainage, catch basins, all of that stuff, the final pavement on the road, all that stuff needs to be completed to get a full release on anything. So you can come in front of the board and ask for a partial release, or, which we could look at, we've looked at it before. But we can't give you a full 100% sign-off on building number 9. So when you start selling those units, I'm just letting you know that up front now, so there's no, misunderstanding them.
In other words, you want occupancies.
We have-
Right.
when we
You
go
have
to-
to pretty much get
When
it.
we go to the building inspector for an occupancy, the planning board has to sign the card, just like the wire inspector.
You might want to look at whatever the condition of approval for this thing is, because there was a few things that were outstanding, like, I know that drainage
We took care of
culvert
that.
thing, I don't know
Yeah,
if that's all
I-
set. The other ones, that with this, you gotta, because this got approved as one project, is what Dan's saying, and so to do each individual building, there might be a way to modify the certificate of action to allow that, because it could end up a headache and problematic that you can't get occupancies for units you want to sell, if it would, you
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
So
as
I
you
think
go.
Maureen gave you a
have to
copy
be
of
able to-
that, and you probably had a copy already, but I had Maureen, make you a copy of,
Maureen, you gave me a list of what she wanted on the plan.
Yep.
We did that.
yeah.
I think what I heard Mr. Gallagher suggest is that we look at that approval, and if we wanted to file for a modification of the language that would allow partial releases for individual.
Yeah, I don't know what it has as far as your selling, but it could affect you when you're sitting there trying to sell, but you can't get an occupancy permit.
Right.
And again, the reason why I bring it up is, in what we typically do is you either put up funds to protect the rest of the subdivision or the development for partial release. So it's something that you're gonna have to figure out how you wanna handle it. You're not gonna be able to you can get partial releases, but all the infrastructure, the best thing to do is complete your infrastructure.
We're not gonna be able to complete the infrastructure for all 10 buildings after the first building.
Yeah.
And I understand that. How about the first building is completed? You're
Right.
coming in front of us for building 7 and building 8, so now you're gonna have 3 buildings.
Right.
Is the detention area completed?
Not completed, but it will be with those 2 buildings.
Okay, so
That's part of that plan.
So
You
now,
may wanna
once
look at
that's,
your
so,
approval.
yeah.
And you
So
might have to
So
modify
maybe the
that
best way
somewhat.
would be to, I was thinking about this before, maybe each building should be a phase. In other words, there should be 10 phases.
then, if you do that, and again, that's what Chris is saying, you might have to review that, come back in front of us. And, I think, we're willing to, we want this place to be completed as much as, probably not as much as you do, but.
Probably not quite.
Yeah. But we would like to see this completed, so that's up to you. Read it, look at what the decision was. You have to be held to what was already approved.
Right.
And that's,
That's not a problem.
so if there's something that you can, you need, you're coming in front of us for modification for locations of building, you might want to go back and read the whole package and ask for, you might want to modify
The language of the agreement.
portions of the decision, so we're not, having last-minute issues, because we don't want to tie up closings.
Which may or may not be minor modifications.
Right,
Just-
you know, it's something you'll have to figure out what you're looking for and then come back in front of the board.
Is there a condo association set up yet?
There will be once the sales start going.
But just for
Right
future
now, there's
submissions,
one on.
though, submitting this showing the old one and the new one,
Right.
that way, we need something for the file saying we're modifying from what to what,
So you have
without
pictures.
expecting us to go running back and trying to find this guy's plans that weren't even at the
So is
same
this the
scale as
second
this, so you can't
modification?
even overlay the things and compare them anyway. So if this was incorporated, this explains it. With the other plan, you don't know what you're looking at, so, this way, when we write the letter and this thing's put in a folder, you have from this to this, and it's nice and clearly shown.
All right, so what's in front of us? Make a motion? That we-
Motion to approve the design, modified design as presented for proposed building 7 and proposed building 8 on, what is this thing? Forge Estates, AKA the other name we're not gonna call it anymore,
It
or whatever it was.
was Bella.
You say, I think, as shown on the plan entitled?
As shown on the plan entitled Minor Modification to Previously Approved Site Plan for Chill Estates, Hill Street, dated 3/14/2013 by Conoco Engineers, Scientists, and Surveyors.
Second.
Second, all in favor? No discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anything else?
Addition, I'm gonna take a selection on the,
So
You
I
getting
would,
overtime pay?
I would,
those
Paying
are
them overtime?
useless.
I had to go back and I read all of that because when you were asking for the first building, you know, we have to look at the whole, what was approved. And I had no choice but to look at everything that was approved. That's why you might want to look at that and make sure that fits into your scheme, the way you're planning the process. Because what he originally approved might be, already the buildings look better than what the other guy had, so, you know, your thought, his thought, you might be able to, you might want to adjust something there.
That's the first one.
No,
So,
and
let's
and
look at
when
it.
this was done, worrying about taking a long time to build them wasn't an issue, you know?
Right.
So it was just, it was looked at as one project. So it was
So
gonna,
we don't know your time frame. You know, you might say, okay, with 10 buildings.
Market would dictate.
We know we're not gonna go stand up 10 buildings in one shot.
then we know you guys are real dynamos lately, so, you know?
Anything else?
That's all, sir, thank you.
Okay, very good, thank
We
you.
can take the excess, sir.
Yeah, you want some plans?
We actually did have correct ones, but we just weren't looking at them.
You got the correct one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
All right, very good,
Have a
thank
good
you.
night.
What? Maybe you should leave a couple of those behind. Just, yeah, you don't need to take them all.
You want me to take the right
In case I
ones?
need to distribute, say, to Jenny, so.
The right ones are dated,
One more
just
minute to
14.
Troop 79, Stone Church.
I'll get to that.
They're giving us the talk tonight.
Uh-oh.
Ladies that get older.
Mr. Campbell,
Great.
Thank you,
one
Frank.
last, when the rest of you were here, I forgot to ask. Have you notified the other departments, fire department, about the name change?
On the street?
Yeah?
Yeah, that's all done.
That's all set?
Yeah, that's all done.
Can we get a copy of something from the fire chief saying that he doesn't have an issue with the name change?
Okay. No,
Just so we can put it in our file?
How much money?
All right, 'cause sometimes
From finishing.
when something's,
That's actually
Pretty
my
much have
modification
enough,
that we
but,
should approve.
we need to sell bricks.
I know, because when
Outside
a
of
name comes in
bricks,
front of us,
but
it does
maybe
go in
just
front of
we're on a real rush
all the
right now,
boards,
'cause I wanna put
and
an order in
sometimes
to try to get
the
them in
fire
when we
department might
finish
say,
this
we
thing.
don't want this
Okay.
name.
So any you can get in.
No, I know, but we need, if you give us
Give one from my
that,
father.
all right?
I still gotta get them from
Take
myself,
care.
I still haven't.
Maureen, you want to just
Pretty
make a note?
pathetic, you know?
that We need that,
I'll mention it to John.
okay, Russell Hart, request to eliminate roof drains, Carriage Hill, Lot 14. Step right up.
State your name again, Russell Hart. I just picked up a lot in Carriage Hill Estates. looking to put a 4-bedroom spec colonial on that lot. It's been a while since I've built in Raynham, back in probably 2002. Depending on how things go, maybe it'll be a primary residence. That being said, I was out there just this morning with Niles Zager of Outback Engineering. I think you guys are familiar with, I have a copy of the minute meetings from January where you guys met with Champion Builders and such.
Right.
He looked at, I don't understand all the mumbo jumbo, but he did look at the soils this morning. He said, we're all set. We saw what we need to see here. We did the test pit and such, and the groundwater evaluation. At that point, he readdressed the conversation with me where he mentioned that Phase 2 had challenged out of the roof drains. He said, I'm seeing the same thing over here, whether he said they were Class D soils.
Okay, so,
Go ahead. What do you need from me?
with that said, he ought to know what we need, because I think he prepared it last time.
Yep.
Anytime that an applicant's looking to eliminate the roof drains,
Yep.
all we need is information, the soil types from an engineer stating that the soil types are what, B, C?
I think it was D was in, yeah,
And if we get that from an engineer,
absolutely.
not from a homeowner or a builder or what have you, then we will, we'll look at that, and with the
Yeah,
knowledge this board has from conditions out there, then we'll,
Okay, yeah, and it's basically what he said. He said, go there tonight, see what they want from me. He says, if they need something from me, he says, absolutely. He says, I see the same scenario here as that I did
Okay.
so in Champion.
Chris,
Thought to keep him coming back, I think we may have in the past said, we'll waive the roof drain requirement if that letter
I
gets
think the
delivered.
previous minutes said something to that effect. As long as I come back with a letter, no, that's what that
Actually,
usually.
you'd bring it back
Yeah.
to Maureen for the record, and that would also go to the building department. But that's, I think we may have done something
yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
that's, and again, it's not a,
Picked up the waiver of frontage plan.
now, the only problem, did we do, isn't that a modification though? Minor modification that he's gonna have to eliminate the roof drains? I think that's what he has to ask for, and then give us the letter. And it's all that
Okay.
in that process, because it is part of the
We'd
original
come back
approval.
with a letter requesting it.
Yeah, so you'll have to get a letter from your engineer stating the soil types.
Yep.
And his reasoning why the roof drains cannot and will not work.
Yep.
And you'll have to ask for a minor modification to the original approval, and give us the original approval dates and read the minor modification rules. And submit that, and you can come back on April 4th, and you'll be all set.
Okay.
Probably take the last letter he wrote and change the lot number and the name.
You make things easy. Very good.
Well, I don't know what to charge him for that, but.
All right, so if you have any additional questions, you can call Maureen, and Maureen is the most helpful individual
She's been very helpful.
in this town hall. We have many helpful employees in this town
Very good.
hall.
This question specifically for Mr. Gallagher. If I have a question about sewer on,
You can't
and I know
ask
that
those
that's
questions, this is planning
yeah,
board.
okay.
You have a question about sewer, you call the sewer department.
Absolutely. So I'll call you during, and then you'll say, oh, you're the guy that asked the other night, and okay, and we'll talk then.
All
Very
right.
good. At least I got the picture with the face with the
Yeah,
name.
no problem.
Thank you very much. I guess we'll see you April 4th, and do I need to schedule that, or am I?
Yeah, you'll have to get your
Call you.
paperwork filed with Maureen for minor modification.
Yep.
With your engineer's letter, and you'll have to file with Maureen, and she'll put it on the agenda. I can't give you a time. She'll give you that time when you submit your
Very good.
paperwork.
All right, thanks,
It has
thanks a
to
lot.
be at least 3
All right.
days before the meeting.
Very good. Thanks for
Good
your
luck
time.
on your venture over there, and
Well, thank you.
hopefully you're as successful as everybody else has been in that area.
I hope so. Thanks a lot, folks.
Okay.
Is the Bank of Norwood selling off lots, is that what they're doing
Yeah,
now?
I guess they've been doing well. Chris would know.
Well, Matt Dacey, Champion, he pulled all on that new piece. I don't know how he's selling, but he pulled every single permit, pulled 11 permits at once.
Yeah, I heard they were going well.
They
Even
have,
across
seem
the
like they're
street.
moving some things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's
heard
some
Lopes.
address changes coming in.
Lopes across the street and the other King
Yeah,
Estates
he's selling,
there.
he's doing well, starting to do really
He's-
well.
He said he's gonna be sold out.
Yeah.
So, that's,
G-Lopes?
yeah, so that's pretty exciting. I mean,
Yeah, there's
exciting
one
for,
going up right behind me
as
now.
soon as
I
billing,
told
you
him.
know, starts going, maybe.
He's not building any, he's just selling lots.
Maybe Russ might find out what it's like to be here at 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, huh?
Oh, I remember.
Let's hope not. I don't know, I think we're all,
Happy medium would be nice.
yeah, I think we're spoiled. Okay, we have invoices. We have, let me jump over to contract for project review consultant.
Is that for our engineer?
Yeah, when Marilyn was here, the contract that we had with Judith Nitch is expired. We do need to advertise. I did want to wait until we had a new town planner, but it doesn't seem like we're getting one anytime soon.
I thought we had numerous applicants.
We did, and I was on the interviewing board, and
Yeah.
it just,
No one
we
wanted.
interviewed 2 different times, and apparently both times, people that were picked bailed out.
Money was not high enough, is that the issue?
Well, no, I don't know. When they came in front of us, they knew what the pay was, and so I'm not sure. So,
Well, I don't
before you
think
showed
this
up,
is-
Marilyn, I found out today, Marilyn may come back part-time at April.
Oh,
That's what Randy told
She'll be
me.
back the first week in April.
So
that will
definitely,
certainly
so
be
she will be
helpful.
back. So Marilyn's gonna come
Well, she'll be
back.
back in the state. I
Right.
don't know about here.
Okay, so
Oh.
she'll be back in the state, so, but she did,
She offered.
yeah, she offered to come back and help part-time until we do get a full-timer. Problem, we did advertise, or the town advertised twice for a town planner, and they don't want to do it again for another 3 or 4 months, only because you're only going to get the same applicants. It's kind of hard, once you went through that, so that's what, that was the decision they made to.
Okay.
So Marilyn, it's, I think she had her winter in Florida, and she's ready to come back, and, so.
Is this something you want to wait for her? But I think it's something that needs to be
No,
done, though.
what
I mean,
we-
can't we just use the same contract and advertise it?
Exactly, that's what we.
In your pack, I put the submittal.
I mean, there's a couple little changes,
Back in November.
That you wanted to make?
just names and stuff, like questions for the RFP, if Marilyn's gonna be around.
Well, I think we have to
Maybe you
do
should
it.
just not put the name in there. Questions to the RFP could be directed to this planning board office, this phone number, a couple little things like that,
Okay.
Well, would you be willing to take a look at this,
Sure,
Chris?
sure.
If you take a look at it, make a few
Yep.
notes, and then Maureen, when he gives it to you, if you can just forward it to the rest of us?
Yes.
Maybe
Yep.
highlight what's changes, and anybody else. We all have a copy of that in your packet,
Yep.
so if anybody has any comments, review it, give it to Maureen, and then she'll forward along to everybody.
Yeah, it's
And
dates
then-
and times, I don't know if you want any input in any, on some of this stuff, or do you wanna, because it just said,
Yeah, I
respond
had
by
it
such and
read,
such a
I
time.
got it now, so I'll go through it too. I think
Okay.
everybody go through, and then April 4th we'll make a decision.
Oh, okay.
I think we
And
can
then
use
any
the same
dates and times
form.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was my
Okay.
point, it was just minor changes.
yeah,
And
That's
then
all.
advertise it, where do we advertise it?
In the
Central
newspaper,
Register.
and then in the central registry.
Okay.
And then we'll, do our interview process like we did last time, and
Okay.
and then pick who we want for.
And who
Okay.
does the initial paring down from,
we did it, I did it with Marilyn last time. We
Okay.
just sat there with a, basically sat there with a punch list, which I wonder if we could find our old one, how we did it. But we
Yeah, pull
just,
it all out.
okay, we basically took the evaluation criteria and took the different areas of expertise or whatnot and graded them. And then with the highest average grade, the last couple
And I think by the
can be
time,
brought.
by the time we finish that on April 4th and advertise it, and people actually send in, Marilyn will be back,
Yeah,
they'll be able to do the same exact thing we did last time. And hopefully, then they'll come in front of us, and the board will make a decision.
okay.
All right, so that was one thing. As built, we went over that with earlier minutes. Rick, on the last
Make a motion that we waive the reading and approve the minutes of February 21, 2013.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence, we have, let's see,
This shows too, right? That's from Maureen, both of them.
Oh, minutes, yeah.
Town of Raynham Building Department, dear Jen, as per conversation today, I am forwarding a check.
That-
6,900 penalties. I understand.
Well, what is that about? I don't remember.
Was
The
that
Route 44
McDonald's?
McDonald's,
Yeah, I saw that.
their original site plan.
So he has $6,900 in penalties?
Oh, actually, it's the fee for temporary occupancy to extend it over a number of years, added up to $6,900 or whatever that number is.
Oh,
And it did not get waived. So they pay that, and Dennis signed the occupancy.
Wow.
how can they been operating without an occupancy permit all this time?
It's,
Okay.
I mean,
So, they are looking to have the $10,812 released. That
And what is that 10,100,
10,000 was the original surety amount, it's just built up that much interest over the years.
and what
The
was it
board,
originally for?
For completion of the site plan, which has been completed.
Yeah.
The last
went
time the
through.
board saw it, you said all you wanted was an occupancy, and you were
Right.
good.
The engineering, the standard process, we ask for funds,
Yeah,
so that's what the balance is left over
they just never finished up.
in their account.
Is
Chris,
this
you were-
a franchise or a company-owned store? It must be a franchise.
I think that these guys were a contractor, and then there's this company that goes around, they call me every here and there, and they just check all outstanding bonds in town, and they chase them down to try to pay them like a collection agency.
Exactly.
And this was one that's just been sitting on the books for 10 or 12 years. They tracked the people down. They went to go get it, and everyone said, well, wait a second, you don't have an occupancy. Let's check to make sure the plan's okay. McDonald's came in. Then Dennis said, well, you have all these penalties because you keep getting extensions and you never paid the fee. And
So was it McDonald's or a franchise?
it was
Yeah,
actually
no.
the person that posted the bond, which was the contractor.
Yeah, whoever
Now,
posted
did
the
that
bond
check
did the
clear
work.
yet?
Yeah, must have, because Dennis signed it. He wasn't gonna sign it until he was happy.
No,
I
but
gave you a copy of the occupancy.
When you deposited the check, before we give him back his money,
Oh, it's in an account, I checked on that.
how
Talked to
long
the
has
treasurer.
it been in the account?
What's the file number?
Oh, if it's
6,900.
cleared.
20
Okay. I guess the
Okay.
check's cleared.
No, I don't mean the
Oh, yeah.
10812, the 6,900.
That's what they paid for temporary.
Right, that's what
occupancy.
Henry's saying. They paid the $6,900. We don't want to
Yeah.
release the $10,812 unless we know the $6,900's clear.
Yeah.
I will
Because it-
double check that Dennis
Because
signed
it
the
isn't
occupancy.
McDonald's, it is the
Yeah,
contract.
but
Yeah, because this is just 2 weeks ago saying
this
I'm
was
forwarding
recent,
you a
yeah.
check.
Okay.
I will double check.
All right, so why don't we make a
Could
motion
be-
that we release,
Maybe someone never deposited.
why don't we make a motion that we release the $10,812 that's in the account for Route 44 McDonald's, subject to finding out from the accountant or somebody from town saying that the $6,900 that they paid for penalties did clear.
Second.
Any discussion, changes? All in favor? Aye. Yep.
So I can take this and start reading it.
Uh-huh.
Determine who's getting breaks, saving taxes and not hiring in the neighborhood.
Chris, what's this, Mark,
When I call everyone. in.
Mark Antime. This is
Roger thing.
Roger Stolte for Gatsby Drive. Oh, Gatsby Drive, he was looking for, he was saying it wasn't signed off, or?
He had asked me if it was, I think he told me it wasn't accepted as a town road, but he's been plowing it and
Yeah, right.
wasn't sure about maintenance, if there was a condo
Association.
association, and
So what happened?
they
with that?
never actually followed it through to get a town accepted. There was, well, I steered him in the direction and showed him the condo docs and the master deed and all that, and let Roger read through them to see if he could find anything. I didn't go through them, but he had said after reading through them that he did see in there, which, I'm just repeating what he had told me, that there's a condo association that existed, and the condo association was gonna do the maintenance until this stuff was accepted by the town. So where he takes it from there as far as his maintenance, I guess, is up to him. But there was a condo association established, and they were to be responsible for the road until town acceptance.
Is there anything that the planning board can do to assist? Is there anything, you know?
I mean, if the road's up to snuff, I guess they could come and petition to get it accepted. Or whoever the condo association, I guess, would do that. It's from what he had said was, we never accepted the road, even though the planning board took the bond and Gary finished the road. So if that's the case, all the work was done and they just never went and did the petition. So I guess maybe we could do the petition.
So if it was all the way back from Harry Carey, and we did finish the road, then it's up to the town to file for the petition to have it accepted,
Yeah.
not them.
Yeah.
Because that
I
means the
agree.
developer went belly up, so,
We'd actually have to
And we're
write
not-
an article.
right, and we're not gonna be able to go back onto the association people if there's any repairs needed, because the town did the completion of the road, and I'm sure from the way things were done way back then, when Harry was here, now, different, so I think what we have, we have.
I mean, I'm
Bottom line.
assuming everything's complete there, all the roads. I don't know, I'd have to ask Roger, but we could either do an article, we're kind of pretty tight right now, rough draft articles are due April 2nd, or just wait till the fall and have an article for acceptance, where we wouldn't have to go through the as-built plans and all that unless they existed. We just accept it as shown on this plan.
Yeah,
type of thing.
and I almost think that would be the way to go. My only, I guess, to add to that, if they do have, well, that's, if they have a condo association and it's accepted by the town, doesn't matter.
No.
There's no fees or anything
No.
else, so.
But honestly, I don't know. It goes back quite a few years.
Any,
What year was this done?
Saying 97. I mean, Harry,
Harry had a finished road before 97, he
no,
wasn't
he
here.
was still here.
Huh?
He was still here, because that hideous blue, I'm gonna have to talk to Harry about this too, that hideous blue Ford Taurus I was driving was actually purchased for Harry to do inspections, and by the time the car came in, Harry retired. So he was still around part-time between highway and sewer into early
Wow.
2000. You know,
Henry, any advice? Rick?
I think what you said is appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if Gatsby Drive, is everything on Gatsby Drive all part of one condominium association?
It was because the last gentleman that came in, I remember, he got a temporary, because he had, I think, to finish his pavement and something else, and he posted money just for his unit, for his building, 8 units. It had nothing to do with the road going in. The road was already, he's on a,
But I wonder
Yeah,
if that
exactly, yeah.
lot that
You know, he was on an
built,
That's
the
where I
existing
remember.
road, 8 units,
It's for Chris Design.
is its own
Just don't wanna
condominium?
forget.
Or is everything one? And is it supposed to be a public road, or is it really a driveway for the condominium? And yes, we made them put up a bond for construction, but was it ever meant to become a public road? I guess somebody has to look at the old file.
I can look at it with Roger and see what, check the accuracy of this letter, and I basically look at subdivision status, which if it was done as a subdivision and we took a bond, maybe the roadway was to be a public way, which would have been tough going through East Taunton, probably
I
might not
just
have
wonder,
been,
yeah,
yeah.
do we send our files?
They've been doing it since
Well, why don't-
97, he said.
why don't we-
Well, they actually are paying, I think they got some agreement with Taunton.
yeah. But then I guess I read something Roger
They plow
said
the
that-
first 100 feet.
Yeah,
we
but
do
then
it
that
after
agreement
that.
went
It's-
away or something, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's not.
That fell
Why don't we do this, if you can do that with, maybe check into it with Roger, but why don't we pull out that original file?
Okay.
Just so we can look back, and I can take a look at it and read, and then if there's stuff that I, can make copies of or something, just to bring back, and pull it out, Maureen, and then, I'll come by, just give me an email or something, I'll come by at the beginning of the week, and
Okay.
then I'll make copies of whatever, seems to be what was the approval, and then maybe we can, go from there.
Yeah, it's not, the article's not, doesn't have to be as comprehensive as meets and bounds. It can
Right.
refer to the thing on the plan and
I just don't,
not
I
be
think
that.
Burke has a great comment, though. Why should the town be, take over a private development if it was meant to be a private development?
It
It's no
might be.
different than us going into the 55 and older place and saying, okay, well, they would belly up, so we're gonna take it over. We don't
I
want
think
to.
they lost their status.
And they may be the same as like Park Place. I don't know if that Park Place area is, if we do that either.
Voluntary or not.
If that's town roads. But yeah, it might be a
So
subdivision, I mean, it might be a,
Might be something that's a condo association, they all get a letter,
Oh, no,
and
they
it's
did
up
do
to
it.
them to,
They're not-
they have to have an
they're not-
association.
They left.
getting out of it cheap then.
Right, they have to have an association, so,
Who are the other?
what's the association dues
Oh,
go to? Maybe their
yeah.
association dues will have to go up, because they have to stop maintaining the road, but
I don't think they
if it's
do.
legal, and if it's in the documents in Mark Antine, if we get that far, and Mark reviews it and says, yes, it's their doings, then I guess we'll cross that road when we get there.
For some of these things have already run.
We have a proposed zoning
Yeah,
bylaw,
10 years is gone.
open space.
Like MX Consulting Services, I think that was what's his name.
At the meeting, March 19th, the Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to sponsor the attached proposed zoning bylaw and forward it to the planning board for required hearings. Proposed bylaw would put a temporary, Henry, this, a temporary moratorium on medical marijuana treatment centers while the state develops and issues its regulations. It will allow us to consider where in town we would want such a center cited through our zoning bylaw. So, we have to,
We don't have to set a public hearing.
we have to set up a public hearing.
Just FYI.
Why we?
It's a proposed zoning amendment.
Yeah, but they're not asking us,
Yeah.
oh, they're,
Yeah.
It's
forward-
going into
they
the
go
bylaws,
forward.
section 6.
Okay.
Something.
yeah.
Why is that a bylaw?
Because of the ballot question that got passed. I mean, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm actually want to rush this thing along, but that's just, I'm sick of buying the stuff on the street.
They're asking, so this doesn't get anywhere, it's gonna be almost like the adult video, I think became a bylaw where you could put it, well, that's what they're gonna do with this. Same
Can
exact thing.
they, I thought the AG's office said you can't not put it in.
You can't restrict them from coming into town, but
Right.
you can have a zone that they're allowed to go to.
And you
That's-
do that by a bylaw? Is
Oh,
that
yeah,
what
that's
the AG?
That's what happened with the adult video store.
Yeah, worked out fine.
Yeah.
But the vote, the vote passed.
Why
but
don't
the
we
state
just put
hasn't
it
had
next
time
to-
to
Every time I
do
drive by and
regulations.
somebody's pulling out,
Whose car do you see pulling out, did you say?
I always toot when I drive by. Place is packed.
You always recognize someone there?
Place is packed.
They keep
Why don't we
taking
put it
Henry's
right
car
next
once,
to
that's
the,
not him.
yeah, why don't we just do the same thing we did with, put it in the same zone?
Well, we have to have a public, we have to advertise it and have a public hearing, and if that's what we decide to do, then we'll make that.
Oh, okay.
We'll
We
make,
put this through first, and then we figure where the zones are gonna be.
right.
Yeah, this is just
This is a
sponsored by
moratorium.
select.
Right.
It's just,
And why does the town want a moratorium?
Because the state's hasn't finalized all the regulations, so the town wants to see what the regulations say, so we can figure out what zone would fit best for a medical marijuana kitchen, or whatever you want to call it.
All right, but you need a doctor's prescription to get it.
Yeah, well,
I mean, so why would you put it someplace inconvenient for people who are disabled and need it.
I guess all of those, yeah, well, this is gonna be a moratorium that we're putting on first, so that's gonna be step one. Once it-
I'm not sure I agree with the moratorium. But, tell me what you want us to do tonight.
Well, we have to advertise this. This has to go in for advertisement,
So we
and
just
then
need to
Right.
schedule a hearing.
for that hearing, we
Okay.
can bring up all the reasons why we feel the
I mean,
moratorium's
this,
not.
to me, is a medical issue.
Okay.
When when can we advertise? by
I don't
then?
think we have time for the next meeting, so the second meeting in April?
Okay,
Sure.
put it on for them. Let's see.
Actually, do you want to get it, if there is time for the first meeting? Are you in a rush to do it?
No.
I don't know what the rush is, but, whatever's good for you.
It's just gonna be done before
Advertise
town
it,
meeting, you know,
second,
it's
yeah,
just.
I mean, nobody's gonna come in front of
Before
them.
the annual meeting. And, we have to put it in the paper twice, it's 3 weeks out.
Yeah, do it,
So the second?
yeah.
Cheech and Chong will be in town in a couple of weeks to do a movie anyway, so they should be here.
That'd be fun, have a couple of people dressed up, come to the meeting.
As Cheech and Chong.
Maureen, what's this, planning board requests for approvals for review of planning board submittals?
Oh, that was what we already went through with
that's
the
your
consultant
draft for the-
contract.
Oh, so that's what I want to take home. Okay. And you have a copy here. What's this other one?
This here was what Maryland wanted us to, this was left out.
This is-
Actually, if we could compare that old law
Yeah.
that was supposed to happen, when they did the 10% has to be affordable housing in any development over 10 lots, there was a thing in there saying, but if you don't want to do that, you can pay so much per lot, and for some reason, it never got put in the law that way. If we're gonna put it in, now's the time before this.
Well, you can't do it because they don't want us building up money again. And so her recommendation is that the money is paid to the Raynham Housing Association. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and if
but
that's
it's-
the case, though, before this.
Remember how we
big one
built up
comes
that
in, we wanna get
No,
this-
no, 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 but but this doesn't give us this doesn't allow us to take funds in lieu of building it.
We don't want to take funds in lieu of building it.
Well, if you're gonna give it to if you're gonna send money over to the housing authority, you have to have it in
Well,
your
yeah, but it's
bylaw.
not going into a special budget like we had before. It's just going directly to them, correct?
You would have to make, yes, you'd have to.
Chris, maybe you can,
Send it to the
you
housing
just-
authority.
this does
Yeah.
not give an option.
Yeah,
We need an option to be able to
Yeah.
do that. This doesn't give us an option.
Right.
Oh, we have to put that in there.
That's what we have to
Yeah.
add in there.
Language.
That language.
Okay, I misunderstood what
No.
you were trying to say.
That's the language that we need, so we do have an option. And yes, we don't want it. It's gonna go to the housing authority.
Correct.
Exactly.
and if we're gonna do that, that should be done quickly, because we'd have to advertise to get it into the next,
Well, we don't have any projects pending, so,
Bassett Knoll, they wanna come in and
oh,
they wanna get away
Yeah,
without
because
getting
that was in
any-
front of us, and we,
He asked me to remind you about it.
Right.
He's interested in it being done.
okay, then we need to publish it right away.
because they did come in front of us.
It's
and-
not submitted yet, though.
Okay, right, but he was in front of us. We had a lengthy
Because it-
discussion on
You
how
did
much
discuss
money,
it with him.
Because
how
we
much
wanna
money
get it on
that
the
we
next
should
town
take
You have until
in lieu
March
of
29th.
building them, so,
Well, we have to do it tonight then.
Yeah, you have to come up with the language.
well, I think it's just adding in,
Yeah, just what we
just
said.
adding, Chris, you just got the same, what,
Wasn't there, the board,
Do I have this in here?
to amend the bylaw to include the mitigation to the town for affordable housing? Was there a number on that?
10%.
No, but was there a dollar number on that?
I don't know if we even settled on that.
So basically, we'd want to amend section 14.5 of the open space use and design standards, where we'd add an H, in lieu of the affordable housing requirement of one additional lot for every 10 created.
An equivalent sum
And
shall be donated directly to the Raynham Housing Authority?
well, what would it be? Was
Yeah,
there
you
a
have to come up with
sum?
a-
Was there an actual sum?
We have to come up with a dollar amount.
Well, that's what, but we don't know how much the house cost.
amount won't be the same.
Yeah, so if you say an equivalent sum of the cost of building said the
As
house
determined by the special permit, yeah, granting authority.
shall
type of
be,
thing.
shall be given directly to the Raynham Housing Authority.
All right, so how,
Equivalent sum.
Equivalent sum, so what's that mean, though? I'm
As
missing.
Well, if it
determined
costs-
by the special
Yeah, if it costs you like
permit granting authority.
150,000 to do the 10th house, which you're then going to donate, the 150,000, whatever the 10th house would cost to build would be the equivalent sum of the other houses. I don't know how else you would do
Why
it.
would they do, why would they
Yeah,
don't,
that
why would they,
wasn't- it wasn't that.
why would
It
they
was
put the
like
money to the,
It was like 10 or 20,000.
build the house if that's what the case?
Well, how much was it?
We
then?
talked about, when we
This is
went
a
over
long
this,
time
this was
ago.
like 50.
That's why you didn't come up with a
we
number,
s-
'cause you
Right,
didn't
we
want it
said
of equal value.
up to $50,000 would be something that the developer would be willing to pay not to build, not to have that affordable house, would be, $25,000 to $50,000.
Oh, right.
That's what.
It's a lower quality house because it'd be for my.
Exactly, so there has to be a
accountants
dollar, it's
instead
basically
of-
what the profit level
Yeah.
of what the developer's
So
gonna be making, so.
okay, so my equivalent sum doesn't work then.
No, so what Marilyn, before she left, what we spoke about was, I was talking, I think when the gentleman was here that night, $25,000. And then after Marilyn did some research, and there are other towns that are doing it that are getting $40,000 to $50,000. So
And how do
when
you-
the
how do you-
gentleman was in front of us, we said it could be up to 50,000, and they said, well, that would be our max. So if this first
Person says 50 is
person,
okay.
50,000 would work for them, then I would think 50,000
And
would
do we
work for
want to
everybody.
use an inflation added figure to that? So we don't
Well,
have to amend it 10 years from now?
Instead of pigeonholing it, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of your point is saying, in a sum agreed to, a sum is agreed to by the special permit granting authority, by the planning board and the applicant. Agreed by both parties type of thing. If we don't come to a number we're agreed on, then you gotta leave them in there.
Why don't we
Well,
put
the only
in?
problem, though,
I don't know how you
it's,
put it.
well, but the only thing is, it has,
Why don't we put in, as agreed to, in the sum of between $40,000 and $60,000?
I like, yes, Russ.
You could have somebody building totally different houses.
Yeah.
Aspen Hollow got finished with front-to-back splits, and you go to the other side of town, what is it? Brook Street or Brook something, and it's million-dollar houses.
Yeah, but I don't think they're
Well,
going to be putting in.
on an affordable housing, you could go on fancy colonials or front-to-back splits. It's the
Well,
inside
how-
that matters, but you
You're gonna do
could.
the same amount of money?
No, you
That's-
The
don't.
house
Why
cannot
it's-
be substantially different and obvious that it's, the moderate income house in the neighborhood.
The outside of the house cannot look different.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying,
No.
you're gonna charge somebody who does a subdivision of front-to-back splits the same amount?
No.
To get out of it as somebody who builds a
I hear what
subdivision
you're
of
saying.
million-dollar
No,
houses?
that was Chris's point.
How
That's
do
why
you
have to.
arrive at a number, or do
He
you put a
wants to
range?
put it up to the special permit authority, which I agreed to, has agreed to between the parties.
Yeah.
I just said, do you want to think about adding a low-high to that, 25, 75?
When this was first done, from what I understand, I don't know if I was even here then, but when this was
Oh, I
first
remember
done, there
this.
was there a dollar value put on it?
No,
And however that language
We
was,
s-
we could mimic that same language, it just never got put in.
Yeah, I don't think,
didn't
we
see
did
it.
this at Gilmore Hall.
Gilmore,
We had the
remember,
meeting
we meeting after meeting.
over and over and over,
Yep.
I think we met more at Gilmore Hall.
Yep, I remember.
And Richard McCarthy,
It could.
we didn't have a number, and I don't even think a number was even might have been discussed, but it wasn't something that we initially wanted, because we said, well, if we don't meet our 10%, then why take money if we're not gonna meet our 10%? Now, we're trying to help the housing authority build up cash so they can.
Which also helps our 10%.
Exactly. So that's what we need, is senior housing, and they do have room to build another building or a couple buildings over there, which would increase our 10%. So that's the direction, because it just hasn't worked. It hasn't worked all these years, the way it is.
Well, I think Chris is right. You leave it up to the parties and the special permit authority as they mutually agree. My only suggestion is, which doesn't seem to be going over well, is put a high-low on there.
But I agree with what Russ says too, that I think every subdivision is going to be different. I'm not sure you can,
Yeah, but if you use figures like 25 and 75, you don't think that would cover everything?
Or even between 25 and 50, you know.
see, I'm not going below 50 on anything.
Well, if you're gonna build,
Well, then that should-
what's that road that you
Then
just
if that's
mentioned?
the, if that's the
Down
minimum,
off Locust Street? What's that
that's the
road?
minimum, then I
Locust
would.
Street, Brook Street?
If you're
Brook
not
Road.
talking about going below 50, I don't think you're gonna be able to go above 50, or else the person's gonna build it and just inside the house.
Oh, yeah, but 10 years from now they may.
Well, then again, you look at it, but it's not in front of us in 10 years from now. We do have somebody in front of us now who's willing to pay 50,000 for almost 6 lots. That would go directly to the housing authority, so I would suggest that let's do it for now. If you're not willing to go below 50, I don't think you're gonna get anything above, so let's put the number 50, if everybody agrees when Chris comes back.
Well, you two know the best what it costs to build a house and the difference in construction on the inside of the house at those 2 trim levels. And what, if you were out building, what would you?
Are you saying at 50 or up to 50?
Well, Brick's saying
At
he won't
50.
take less, he's not willing to even discuss less than 50,000.
Well, what about someone coming in who wants to build something cheaper? He's not gonna spend 50,000, he's gonna spend 25. Then he's not gonna build.
Then he's gonna build affordable housing, and you still get credit for it.
Yeah, but then he has to pay 50,000.
No. He either builds it, or he donates the money to the housing authority.
I understand that.
So if.
But I'm not sure
so-
50,000 is a fair figure to the builder
Well, if
for
the-
a cheaper house.
If the gentleman's building front to back splits,
Yeah.
and this gives him the option, he can either give the 50,000 Raynham housing, or do the affordable house. So it's giving him an option. So I almost think we should,
I think an option is better by letting the permit authority set it and then give them limits, a minimum and maximum.
okay, but it almost seems unfair, though, that.
Why is that unfair? It's
Because
more
if-
fair.
Because you're not giving any guidelines of what is gonna qualify me for coming in for a subdivision, that you're gonna approve me to pay 40,000, but another guy's gonna come in and you're gonna make him pay 60,000.
Because
There has to be a guideline.
he has a more expensive house, and he's proved to us that he's gonna spend 60,000 on the difference.
Yeah, but how do you know?
How do
Once
you-
he says
how do
he's
you-
gonna build
how
it,
do
you
you
gotta
do
make
that,
sure,
though?
like Aspen Hollow, the guy can start off at this, and then the
you know.
market changes, and he's front to back splits.
Right.
Okay,
You know,
so
you
what
could-
happens if we get a cheaper one in? Is he gonna pay 50,000?
Well, you brought it up, so you have, what's your?
Well, I was just wondering, what determines that a house is affordable? Is there a mathematical calculation?
They take,
10 lots, more than
Every
10.
10 lots, they have to
10 or
build.
more lots on a subdivision. For every 10, you need one affordable. So
Yeah,
every
but no,
affordable lot-
what I'm saying
You're
is-
saying that house, what makes that house affordable? It has to
Is it
sell for...
$300,000? Is it $350,000?
Oh, that's,
No.
it takes the type of house it is. If it's so many square foot colonial, the state will tell you what that will sell for depending on what town you're in.
Does
And-
it go by the income?
yes.
And then it goes by your town
It's-
income. And whoever buys it has to make less than 80% of the average per capita family
And
income.
then they have to go into a pool, and
And
then they have to go through.
gets drawn as a lottery.
That's why they would rather pay the money, because they don't want to go through the process.
Right.
It's a lottery type thing, it's an issue.
But what I was getting at is, if there's some calculation determining what makes a house
Oh,
affordable, a price
percentage, yeah.
range, then do you tie in what the amount they have to pay is to that? Or if they're building $400,000 houses, and if it's a $350,000 house, it's an affordable house, well, do you want to put up a $350,000 house, or do
The
you
only-
want to pay?
The only problem that I see with that is, okay, if you look at the Raynham census of what the average person in Raynham makes, that's what they do, they take the average,
Mhm.
and then it's
Well, actually, we're in with
80%.
We're in with Proctor to determine our.
Well,
Just, we have to have this language tonight?
No, no.
Well, the
no.
guy wants it so he can do his project.
Well, it's something
Well,
you've
I
been
want a lot
working
of
on.
things too, but I
No,
mean,
there's
it's,
no-
so we don't need to have this language tonight,
Well, I thought you said we did.
If you want to have it
a
on
public
the
hearing.
annual town meeting, you need the warrant in by March 29th.
Right, and the guy wanted us to do it, right?
yes.
Well, you had talked about it. with
Why,
him, and-
Randy told me rough draft articles are due by April 2nd.
Well, the 29th
The
or the
date's
2nd
changed.
is,
That's even
Oh,
better.
okay. That's what I was told for rough, but that's still
Alright.
before our meeting.
I'll go
So
with,
I-
the-
so
I'll go
anyway-
with the 50.
We've had this much discussion,
50.
people that were in,
50.
it's,
If it doesn't work, we'll change it.
Yep.
Can we change it at a public hearing? To be submitted onto the warrant different, or no, it's already
You can amend it
submitted?
on the floor, can't you?
Yeah, okay.
When do you have to have the final wording?
That, yeah, we have different dates in.
I got the date from Randy as my rough articles on April 2nd. Maybe zoning's different because of advertising. But that's what I got.
what are your,
Well, if we just-
Advertising matters, that's only for this board.
Tonight, say 50 or to be determined, so you can put a rough thing in. How long do we have to refine that language before the final one goes in?
A lot of articles go with a blank, and then you put it in at the
No,
meeting.
no, not zoning articles.
No.
Those are finance.
I think at this point, what's in front of us, we have a subdivision with 6 lots. The max that they would pay would be $50,000. They
what-
need a number. It's only fair that they get this in the bylaw, or else their subdivision, they're gonna pet the building affordable. And the Raynham Housing Authority will not get that money to put towards where we want the affordable to go. So I think, like Henry said, if we put in the 50, just add that in, that it is a set amount.
I think so too. You know,
And then we go from there.
We'll be here, and there'll be a subdivision, and we're gonna spend 3 hours on the subdivision, and 6 hours arguing over whether it's 40, 50, or 60.
Right.
Well, and
Just-
that's the thing.
just-
I
15 will
agree,
be
I
done.
rethought what I said, 50, that's what the guy wants, that's what we'll give him. If it doesn't work out 2 years down the road, another developer comes in, we'll change the bylaw.
I don't want to set a precedent agreeing with Henry, but I got to go with him on this one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
I was just going to add in, if you said a number and then something that gives us the option of changing it. So if we're sitting here and it doesn't make sense.
We can change bylaws anytime we
Zoning
want
bylaw.
at the next town meeting.
No, and
We can't change it
Not-
on our own, though.
not the whole bylaw, but if somebody
No, no.
comes before us
It's- it-
with a
it can't-
project,
If you do that, then you can't put a number on it. What you're doing is just saying that the special permit granting authority is gonna make the determination on the amount. We don't wanna do that.
I don't
You
think so.
gotta have a number on it.
You could go to
If
zoning.
you don't have a
and sell
number on
to
it,
them.
it can be very
Actually-
inconsistent.
You could.
Maureen brought up a
Technically,
good
you
point.
could go to the zoning board and get a variance on it. If we supported it, I'm sure they'd probably grant it.
Yep, so there is another way to do it
Yeah, there is an angle around that.
I
without,
think you should have some flexibility in there.
Yeah.
well, you do, a
It does give you
variance.
that.
Just like they have, we do variances all the time. Not us, but the
So if
ZBA.
if that will work, then that will help if there's if we're in between a town meeting and we don't feel that we want to change the whole thing,
Mhm.
but we want
Yeah.
to change that one subdivision, and if they can go for a variance, then there you go. That,
If,
Do we
you know,
need to put that in the language that the ZBA can,
No, not in ours.
that's
just a law.
automatically because it's a
Yeah.
special permit?
So
So that takes care of
Motion
your
was
issue.
made and seconded to change the wording to allow a $50,000 donation to go to
Mitigation, I think it is, 50,000.
mitigation to go towards the Raynham Housing Authority in lieu of
Directly,
building,
directly to the Raynham Housing
in lieu of
Authority
building the affordable housing
requirement.
requirement.
Okay, does somebody want to look this language over after it's written out?
Mhm.
Can you tweak it once?
Yeah, you can send it to all of us and we'll
Yeah,
all
send it,
reply.
and whoever has comments, we'll throw it in there. So with that said, all in favor?
Aye. Was there a second on that? I seconded it.
Who made the motion?
Dan, I second. Unanimous.
Unanimous.
That's that.
That's it, nice job.
If everybody take this one home and just look at for the review and for a new town, for the advertisement.
One more thing, I don't know if you want to entertain it or not.
Done yet?
What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't
What's
hear
that?
that.
Some invoices?
Yeah, I
Okay.
figure we can sign the invoices.
Well,
Where are they?
two out of three are snowplow accounts. We have money and there are no problems doing them?
We do. One of them is a redo from a bill that was an error. That would have depleted an account, but
This was
it was
the
recalculated.
change for the solar
There is
things.
money.
Okay.
I would have the wetland 20 feet uphill in the upland. It was just a simple change in their language but then I didn't realize we would have had to get these things in this quick.
And that's in our packet.
I didn't see it.
So what do we,
Oh, what you do, make a
What-
copy for me on that?
No, I thought I copied everybody. I don't, you know what, Chris, maybe I didn't.
I don't have
I
it.
did it at
Okay.
the last minute.
You know,
I didn't
I
see
did.
it.
I'm
This
sorry.
was a request
Sounds
earlier.
good.
This was I haven't been around, but I've been getting correspondence.
all right, wait a minute.
But,
Hey, wait a minute, we have one
This
more,
was just
one last thing besides the
this was
bills.
something that came in front of us a while ago when they were
Who's
looking at the solar panels and the wetland
the
district
fleet?
issue. I mean, my thought, and Serpent agreed with me, was just wipe out the, wetland district, make it but that may be difficult, but what they did was this,
Who's they?
the
Conservation?
persons that were coming in front of us,
Oh, the
where
flea
they had
market?
we already have this bylaw that says the large-scale ground-mounted photovoltaic, whatever. The only proposed change they had was one sentence that basically let it be in the wetland district if the special permit granting authority, basically subject to the site plan review by Raynham Planning Board, then it could be in that district. Right now, it showed, the wetland district shows the wetland line going 50 feet uphill into roads, so it's
Yeah,
all
that-
kinds of uplands
yeah,
being
what they did is they
encumbered.
took a big circle and it doesn't work, so,
They wanted to see if we could put this article in. I mean, this is a quick fix for that, but to me, they should amend the whole wetland article at some point, the whole wetland district at some point.
yeah.
I mean, this is just changing one sentence, and it helps at that point. But at some point in the future, the wetland district should be as defined by the wetland line. When right now, it's defined by an arbitrary line drawn on a map, and basically has the wetland district.
We got those on,
So we can do our solar, and whenever you would like to go, you
Yeah,
can, you can
and
fight
they're
the
good.
big battle.
I'll-
We'll be right behind
I'll
you.
make sure you're in New Orleans.
All right, so what do we do with this? Are we gonna ask, we need a vote
We need a vote,
to
right?
Chris's language?
amend this
And then we have-
wording
Another hearing published,
for this here?
so we need a vote first.
All right, so
So basically.
let's put it on for the amendment. We'll have a public hearing on it.
It amends Article 19, basically saying,
9 what?
19, about the large-scale ground-mounted photovoltaic installations, photovoltaic, where it allows them in a wetland district, subject to site plan, if granted a special permit, and subject to site plan review by the Raynham Planning Board.
Who grants a special permit? Concon?
I believe we do.
No, we do. Yeah,
Through site plan
Oh,
review.
through site plan.
right.
So if
And
we
no
see
matter
that-
what, they're gonna they have to go through
They
conservation
still have to
anyway.
go to conservation.
I'll second
yeah.
that.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And you have this copy anyway in the email I forwarded.
So with that,
So we're publishing these changes?
Just like you do any zoning bylaw.
No, I know, I'm just trying to see where the changes are.
well,
They're better, they're easier on the email where it's
Okay.
highlighted,
Yeah,
but basically
okay.
it just says the changes are that they're allowed, subject to a special permit
All right, I'll run that
and
by
review and site plan review.
So when you do that, just send it out and anybody, everybody
There'll
can
be three
review
of
it.
them.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Nope.
Hearing none?
It's
Meeting,
snowing out, let's go.
meeting is adjourned.
Scary, huh?
That's what-